From the futuristic gardens by the bay and the enchanting river wonders to the vibrant streets of Chinatown and Little India, there's something for everyone in this dynamic metropolis. Since its independence almost 60 years ago, Singapore has become a beacon of prosperity. In a world where middle-income status is the norm, the city-state stands as the richest country for thousands of miles in any direction. Its GDP per capita, currently around $140,000 per person, has doubled in real terms over the past 20 years, making it the second wealthiest state in the world behind Luxembourg. This remarkable transformation is even more striking when considering that at the moment of its independence in 1965, Singapore was economically weaker than countries such as South Africa or Jordan. Singapore faced numerous challenges in its early years. It lacked natural resources, had a small domestic market, and dealt with high unemployment rates. The city-state also experienced social unrest, inadequate infrastructure, and concerns regarding its economic viability following its expulsion from Malaysia. A significant turning point occurred in the 1970s and 1980s when Singapore shifted its focus to industrialization. The government prioritized sectors such as electronics, shipbuilding, and petrochemicals. As a result, the Port of Singapore became one of the busiest ports in the world, and the city-state evolved into a vital logistics and shipping hub. Its low corporate tax rates, business-friendly policies, and political stability attracted investment from around the globe. At the time of Singapore's independence in 1965, Malaysia had a higher standard of living and GDP per capita than Singapore. Today, Malaysia's GDP is approximately $14,800, while Singapore's is an impressive $140,000 per person. As of 2024, the city-state is home to about 6 million people, with the majority, around 4.18 million, being locals or permanent residents. It's a relatively small place, but the diversity here is what really makes it pop. The population is mostly Chinese, but you'll also find a significant Malay and Indian community, which creates this perfect mix of cultures. What's even cooler? Singapore has 4 official languages: English, Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil, which gives the city this vibrant, multilingual feel. While English tends to be the common language, you'll hear all sorts of languages in the air, especially in neighborhoods like Chinatown, Little India, or Kampong Glam. It's this blend of cultures and languages that gives Singapore its pulse. Whether you're grabbing a bite at a hawker center or chatting with locals on the MRT, you're constantly surrounded by this beautiful mix of traditions, stories, and flavors. You've probably heard that Singapore is known for being a super clean, safe, and efficient place to live. But there's a lot more to it than just that. It's a city where everything seems to work just a little bit better, and people don't just expect high standards, they live them. In 2023, Singapore had one of the highest life expectancies in the world, with people living an average of 83 years. Quite impressive. Part of the reason behind this is the country's world-class healthcare system, which is constantly ranked among the best globally. But here's the twist. While healthcare is excellent, it's not just about getting treated when you're sick. The focus here is on keeping people healthy in the first place. Preventative care is a big deal in Singapore, with health screenings and education programs built right into the system. Now, it's not all perfect. Healthcare costs can get high if you need specialized treatment or private healthcare. But there's a safety net for everyone. The public healthcare system here is affordable and accessible for residents, and you also have the option of private insurance if you want more flexibility. The government has a clever system called MediSave, which lets people save for their medical expenses through a portion of their paychecks. So, when life happens, you don't have to worry about getting stuck with huge bills. It's all about planning ahead and being ready for the unexpected. But quality of life isn't just about healthcare. It's also about feeling safe. And when it comes to safety, Singapore is basically a dream. The crime rate here is ridiculously low, compared to other cities around the world. It's one of the safest places to live, and you'll hear locals and visitors alike say how comfortable they feel walking around at night. Whether you're in the busy city center or in a quieter residential area, you'll notice that the streets feel calm and people seem at ease. What contributes to that safety? Well, there are a few factors. First, the police force is known for being efficient and tough on crime. But the real secret is the culture of respect and discipline that's deeply ingrained in Singaporean society. There are strict laws here, and the penalties for breaking them can be severe. But these laws also create a sense of order and predictability that makes people feel secure. Whether it's laws around littering, jaywalking, or even chewing gum, you'll quickly notice that people here tend to follow the rules. And the result? A clean, peaceful, and orderly environment. Beyond safety, another thing that makes life in Singapore so attractive is its stunning urban planning. The city is known for blending nature with modern infrastructure in a way that's both practical and beautiful. You won't find many cities where you can stroll through a park, hop on a bike, and then take a quick ride to a sleek skyscraper, all within the same neighborhood. Singapore is often called the city in a garden because of how much greenery is integrated into the urban landscape. It's not just about making the city look good. It's about creating spaces where people can feel connected to nature, even when they're in the heart of the city. Take, for example, the iconic Gardens by the Bay. It's this massive green space that's home to futuristic-looking super trees and climate-controlled conservatories filled with plants from all over the world. And it's not just for tourists. Locals use it as a place to relax, walk their dogs, or simply enjoy a bit of nature in between the hustle and bustle. It's all about maintaining a balance between nature and urban living. But while the outdoor spaces and natural beauty are a huge draw, there's also the city's efficiency. It's hard not to be impressed by how smoothly everything works here. The public transportation system is a perfect example of that. The MRT, Mass Rapid Transit, is fast, clean, and easy to navigate. It's pretty much the go-to way of getting around for locals and visitors alike. Buses are also an excellent option, and they all run on time, something you rarely hear about in major cities around the world. When you step into Singapore's MRT stations, you'll notice that they're not just places to catch a train. They're well-designed hubs with stores, coffee shops, and even art displays. It's all part of making the commute an experience that's not just functional, but also pleasant. And it's not just public transport that's well organized. The whole city is a model of efficiency. Roads are meticulously planned, and traffic tends to move smoothly, even during rush hour. In fact, Singapore has some of the lowest traffic accident rates in the world, thanks to strict traffic laws and a heavy focus on road safety. If you've ever spent time in a chaotic, gridlocked city, you'll appreciate how rare it is to experience that level of flow and order. So, what about the daily grind? Life in Singapore moves fast, but it's not all about work. Singaporeans value their work-life balance, and it shows. The city has an impressive work culture where people are dedicated and ambitious. Work might be a big part of life in Singapore, but so is play. Of course, no discussion of life in Singapore would be complete without mentioning the food. You'll find food everywhere in Singapore. Hawker centers, cafes, restaurants, food courts. It's one of the things that makes life here feel vibrant and alive. From Hainanese chicken rice to laksa to satay, the variety of flavors and cuisines reflects the multicultural mix of the country. And the best part? The food is affordable. You don't need to break the bank to eat well in Singapore, and you're guaranteed to find something to suit every taste and budget. Whether you're a foodie or just someone who appreciates good, hearty meals, Singapore's food scene is definitely a major plus when it comes to quality of life. It's one of those places where you'll always find a new dish to try, and you'll never get bored of what's on offer. In terms of living costs, Singapore is not exactly cheap. The island is known for being one of the most expensive cities in the world, particularly when it comes to housing. But the question isn't just about how expensive it is, it's also about how people manage and work around those costs. For many locals, the cost of living here is a bit of a balancing act. On one hand, salaries are higher compared to other countries, especially in sectors like finance, technology, and healthcare. On the other hand, housing, groceries, and general day-to-day expenses can quickly add up. The majority of Singaporeans live in HDB flats, which are public housing built by the government. Around 80% of the population lives in these flats, and they are a huge part of what makes Singapore so unique. HDBs are well-designed, affordable, relatively speaking, and are located all over the island, which makes them incredibly convenient for residents. But here's the thing. While they're relatively affordable compared to private condos, the demand for these flats is high, and the price tag can still be hefty. If you're looking at buying a flat, you can expect to pay anywhere from $200,000 to over $1 million. The government provides subsidies for first-time buyers, but even with those, home ownership can be a challenge for young people just starting out. For many, the dream of owning a home in Singapore might feel a little out of reach, especially with the city-state's expensive property market. But it's not all doom and gloom. The government also helps with grants and initiatives to support homebuyers, making it possible for people to buy their first homes with some financial assistance. And there are also options to rent, though, of course, renting can also be pretty pricey. The rental market varies depending on whether you're looking for an HDB flat, a private apartment, or a luxury condo, but expect to pay anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 per month, depending on the location and size. For those who prefer to live in private condos, there's a wide range of options, but these come with a much higher price tag. Condos in central areas like Orchard Road, Marina Bay, or Sentosa tend to be significantly more expensive, sometimes reaching upwards of $10,000 per month in rent. And purchase prices can go well beyond $2 million for a relatively modest apartment. The upside? Private condos offer a variety of amenities like swimming pools, gyms, and 24-hour security, luxuries that make them a popular choice for expats and people with higher incomes. As for groceries and general expenses, it's safe to say that Singapore doesn't make it easy to keep your wallet full. Supermarkets here can be pricier than what you might be used to, especially if you're buying imported goods. You'll find local products that are reasonably priced, but the international options? Those can quickly inflate your grocery bill. Expect to spend about $300 to $600 a month on groceries for a single person, depending on where you shop and what you buy. When it comes to utilities, you'll typically spend about $100 to $150 a month for electricity, water, and internet. That's assuming you're living in a standard-sized apartment. However, prices can vary depending on usage and the type of apartment you're renting. Air conditioning is something you'll use a lot in Singapore, especially since the weather tends to be hot and humid year-round. Now, let's talk about how people in Singapore balance the grind with some well-deserved downtime. Because, let's face it, work is a huge part of life here. Singapore is known for its high expectations, both in the office and on the job market. People work hard, and there's definitely a culture of ambition that fuels the city's success. But here's the interesting thing. Despite the fast-paced work environment, locals also place a lot of emphasis on finding time for themselves. Work-life balance in Singapore might sound like a buzzword in some countries, but here, it's something that's genuinely valued. Yes, people work long hours, especially in industries like finance, tech, and law, but there's also a strong focus on making time to unwind. For starters, Singapore is an active city. Biking, running, and outdoor fitness are part of the everyday culture. The government has invested heavily in creating spaces for these activities. with miles of cycling paths, parks, and nature reserves scattered throughout the city. And then there's the nightlife. Singapore is home to some of the best bars and clubs in the world. Whether you prefer laid-back rooftop bars with a view of the skyline or lively nightclubs with top DJs, Singapore has it all. Popular spots like Clark Quay, Marina Bay Sands, and Orchard Road offer a wide range of entertainment options that suit any type of night owl. But even if partying isn't your thing, Singapore has plenty of other ways to enjoy the night, from outdoor movie screenings to late-night cafes that serve up everything from local desserts to international treats. Finally, the beauty of living in Singapore is that you don't always need to go far to get away from it all. So, what's life really like in Singapore? In a word, dynamic. It's a city that's constantly evolving. Yes, it can be pricey, and the pace can sometimes feel like a whirlwind. But what makes Singapore stand out is how it allows people to thrive in a well-organized, diverse, and vibrant environment. Whether you're visiting or considering making it your home, Singapore is a place that has a little bit of everything, and plenty of surprises along the way. It is truly one of the most exciting places in the world to experience life to its fullest. This brings us to the end of the video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.